Hello and welcome to the Arena Sports Show. Wherever you're positioned in life, you have to have a strong team. Listen, I've assembled my strong squad to help me dissect what's been happening in the world of sports. Sir Alex Ferguson once said that to win games, you need an attack. You need, of course, good strikers. But to win your titles, you need to have a strong defense. At my heart of defense, I know a man who knows everything about winning titles. A man who is, of course, very familiar with smoke that thunders. He has won the COSAFA Cup. He is a double COSAFA Cup champion. I will reveal him to you in just a bit. And then we move over to my playmaker, Mahlatse Mphahlele, who is, of course, one of the best in the sports journalist game. He also was a media officer back in 2009 at the Confederation Cup, 2010 FIFA World Cup, and the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations. And then I have a man who has never kicked a ball in his life, but he loves the football game so much. Sizwe Mabena, ex-commentator at the Confederation Cup in 2009, 2010 FIFA World Cup, 19 games to be precise, and he has covered 4 African tournaments. Those are my panel for today, and of course a special guest that we'll be unveiling to you in just a bit. On that note, let's find out what's been happening on your headlines.
With a dominant 3-0 DStv Premiership win over AmaZulu on Tuesday at Loftus, Mamelodi Sundowns become the first Premier Soccer League side to go through 40 consecutive league games unbeaten. During this peerless period, the Brazilians won 31 and drew 9, and since the beginning of the season, they have amassed 42 points from 16 matches to leave them with an 11-point advantage at the top of the log. The Springboks and captain Siya, who managed the feat of winning back-to-back Rugby World Cup titles when they lifted the Webb Ellis Cup in France last year, are in line for top honours after they were nominated for the Laureus Awards. The Springboks have been nominated for the Laureus World Team of the Year award, while French-based Kolisi has been nominated for the Laureus World Comeback of the Year award. The South African boxing fraternity gathered at the South African State Theatre on Thursday to celebrate the life of the regulator's CFO, Kenneth Mamusadi, who was senselessly gunned down in the driveway of his Pretoria West home on Friday. Elsewhere in the world, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner is set for the F1 season opener in Bahrain after he was cleared of wrongdoing following the internal investigation into his behavior towards a female colleague. Horner, who reportedly pleaded his innocence, has been exonerated of any wrongdoing by an independent investigation into allegations of inappropriate controlling behavior made against him by a female member of staff. And lastly, the CSA 4-day series, which is scheduled for 5 days, has taken centre stage at Wanderers, where the Lions are hosting Western Province in the final, which started on Wednesday, where the visitors won the toss and chose to bowl.
A lot has been happening in the world of sport. Sizwe Mabena, starting with you. Mamelodi Sundowns, they kick the ball quite often.
Almost as good as I do.
Oh my goodness.
Almost as good as
you
I
are
do.
Dreaming, Mabena. Remember what we said, Mahlatse? Never kicked a ball, but it's fine. Talk to us about this incredible achievement by Mamelodi Sundowns.
Incredible indeed, and I think first off, let's start off by congratulating Sundowns for this incredible achievement. What they've been able to do since Rulani took over. Congratulations to Rulani as well. But you get the feeling it's more than just the face value, players and just the coaching. It's everything about the organization that, for me, works superbly. They're setting the bar high in men's football, locally and on the continent as well. I actually spent a bit of the morning with Tumelo Rabale from the ladies team, the Hollywood Bets Super League Player of the Season, and was going through what Sundowns did well last season. They set the record in goals scored, a number of goals conceded, and points as well. This all last season from the ladies team. And Sundowns is doing one thing well, and that's balancing both teams and getting the very best out of the men's and the female teams to a point where they stand out on the continent, both the men's and the female. So it's a great example for South African football. Great club doing great things, and really, really, they need to be congratulated for something we may not see again for a very long time.
I like how you say congratulate, because we know Coach Rulani Mokoena, every time after a game, he's congratulating the fans, he's congratulating the club. It's his favorite word, to congratulate. So spot on that one, Sizwe Mabena. Mahlatse Mphahlele, I mean, you look at the Springboks as well, nominated at the Laureus Sports Awards. Talk to us about that achievement for them, just to be recognized in what they've done.
Yeah, I think it's a good recognition from the team. These are the guys who, not so long ago, we were sleeping late. There was no load shedding in the country.
Oh, great time,
fighting
hey.
to win the World Cup. We wish that they could play
and a holiday.
the World Cup. We also got a holiday.
You know?
So, yeah, I think it's a team that has done very well. Back-to-back World Cups, as I said. Also for Sia. I mean, Sia was not sure of whether he's going to the World Cup until the last few days. So I think for those two categories, Team of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year, hopefully they will go all the way and then they'll get it. But yeah, I think it's good recognition for their efforts over the last few months.
It definitely has been. And well, as you know, we always have our Star of the Week on the Arena Sports Show that you can always be a part of. We'd love to know from you who has impressed you. My name is Claire Grace Mpanza, but you can call me the Legs of Thunder Jr. And well, I might as well start this one off. My Star of the Week, it has to be Valentino Rossi. I mean, you know him as the MotoGP World Champion, but he's decided to switch it up. And I love that about riders as well, where you get to reinvent yourself. You know, you normally see it in football where, okay, you want a coach or want a player, moved on to a coach, or maybe not a coach, you go into analyst. So I think for me, seeing a Valentino Rossi then transition into World Endurance Championship, because now it's completely different. It's literally 4 wheels. So from 2 wheels to 4 wheels, and you're driving for a longer period of time. Yeah. I think it's absolutely incredible. Mabena, who's your Star of the Week?
Can only be the Banyana star, that is Jermaine Seoposenwe. Made a debut in 2010 as a teenager. Now think about it, 2010, we're in 2024. Yeah. Still part of the setup. It says a lot about what they're doing right at Banyana when you consider she's been there with all their achievements, including going to the 2016 Olympic Games. They're currently trying to get to the next Olympic Games, I beg your pardon, out in Paris. But also what's impressive with her, she scored the goal against Equatorial Guinea, I think, that qualified us for the 2016 Olympics. So she's got quite a story to tell in her involvement in AFCONs, World Cups and so on. And it's a great career. I mean, long-lasting and still has a lot to give to South African football. So proud of her. That's my player of the week.
Okay. Mr. Mphahlele, what about you?
Stay with football. I'm going to Pretoria.
Oh, why am I not surprised?
There. Deep
Brazilian. Yeah, my player of the week is Lucas Ribeiro. I think we don't see enough hat-tricks in our league, and he scored a hat-trick for Sundowns against Amazulu. Also, I've been impressed with him. Most players come to our league and they struggle to acclimatize, and he's just sort of hit the ground running. I know he's playing in a strong team, but also his quality once again comes through, and a very, very good addition to that side. And I was impressed with the way he, also nice goals, this shika stuff, well taken goals. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, they've helped Sundowns to stretch their lead at the top, which makes pretty much a procession for Sundowns now. I think they are strolling very nicely to the championship. Someone said they might as well just take that thing to Turgop. It's finished now.
And just battle between second and third. I think we'd love to see that.
They will even make a mess of second and third, these ones who are coming. And the rate they're going.
Your shade, Mr. Mphahlele. But on that note, we then move over. We'll pause the football in just a bit. We move over to netball, especially Netball South Africa, who have announced coach Jenny van Dijk as the head coach of the Spar Proteas, who will be assisted by Uzanele Mdodana, who is, of course, the former Spar Proteas captain. Mahlatse Mphahlele, you look into this. I think the biggest conversation, a big congratulations to coach Jenny van Dijk and, of course, Zanele Mdodana. But Dumisani Chauke was also somebody that a lot of people anticipated to be perhaps the head coach, as she was assistant for quite a while.
Yeah, it's something which is very surprising for me. I don't know what happened there. Obviously, I'm not discrediting the fact that Jenny's got the job. Jenny and her credentials domestically speak for themselves. Yeah. I think she led the Jaguars, the Gauteng team, to 5 domestic titles in the TNL. She's a former player. She's got an aura. She's a big figure in the game in our country. Also Zanele, she has earned a stripe. She's a commentator, and also she went to Matis. She was coaching in Matis. I'm also a former Netball Proteas captain. So for that respect, I think they've chosen the right people. But I'm a little bit surprised as to why somehow they've ignored Dumisani Chauke. My sense is that maybe Dumisani having been there over the last few years as Norma Plummer's assistant.
2019 as well.
Yeah, she was also assistant Doran Badenhorst. Maybe she felt that if she doesn't become the head coach, then there's nothing. And I mean, I would feel the same way. If you have been assistant all this time and then they come and appoint another coach and then you continue to become assistant, it will have sort of been some level of disrespect. I don't know the details, but, you know, it's unfortunate for her. But at the same time, I think Jenny can help this team to go forward. I'm just not sure if she can take us to winning a World Cup.
Winning a World Cup?
Because, yeah, I mean, I'm just not sure if she can do that. Because if you look netball around the world, you've got New Zealand, you've got Australia, you've got England.
Jamaica.
You've got Jamaica. Here on the continent, you've got Uganda, who are very, very strong.
Oh, and they've been showing us flames, Uganda.
There's some matches that have actually beaten us, you know. So it's quite interesting. But I think she can take us somewhere.
I have to ask, how close do you think we are to competing to win a World Cup, considering we hosted a World Cup not too long ago? We're hoping for at least a podium place. That didn't happen. So would I be right in saying maybe it's still a bit far off in the horizon, trying to compete to win gold?
Yeah, it's very difficult. There was an outcry in terms of the format of the World Cup.
Yeah.
It's a little bit confusing because sometimes it's not strength versus strength in a way. South Africa, I mean, the team that won the World Cup, South Africa didn't play against them in the World Cup. So they were saying, let them play a round robin, and then the top 8 goes play the last 8. But everybody can play against each other, and then, you know, the top 2 goes to the final, you know. I think in that sense, maybe it can be a fairer way of deciding who is the champion. Those discussions are happening behind the scenes now. As to whether we are good for a podium finish, I'm just not sure. If you go to a Netball World Cup, you have to at the very least beat New Zealand, or maybe 2 or 3 of New Zealand, England, Australia, Jamaica, and Uganda. Malawi is also coming very, very strongly. If they get their house in order, they'll be competitive. So the dynamics are very, very tricky. You know, so I mean, as to whether we'll finish a podium and just win the World Cup, I'm just not sure. And also, the problems that we have is that we don't have a professional league in the country. TNL is there, but it's not really a fully blown professional league. It is going to be another story again. Before the World Cup, they will be talking professional league. Banyana goes to the World Cup. Or if they qualify for the Olympics, we'll go open the discussion again of the World Cup. And I think it's about time now that finally decisions must be taken as to how soon can we professionalize women's sport in the country. Because you can even see with Banyana, they are able to compete at the level that they're competing at, though there's no league. If there was a league, I'm sure they can take it up a little bit. I mean, the netball ladies, if there was a professional league, they can take it up a notch to another level. So hopefully in the next, months, years, or whatever the case may be, we can fully professionalize our ladies.
South Africa is very much a netballing country. I covered the schools championships a couple of years ago. And it's beautiful what they've done in South African netball to try and incorporate not just the well-to-do schools, but also those from the rural areas as well, to try and get them to catch up from a playing point of view and an experience as well. Those steps mean in years to come will, of course, improve from a developmental point of view, but at least they're taking those steps now to make for a better tomorrow from a netballing point of view.
100%. On that note, let's find out what Coach Jenny van Dijk has to say.
I'm stoked. I can't wait to start working. It's such a great privilege and honour for me to represent the country on the highest level. And yes, we've got a work cut out for us, but we're not worried and we're not scared of working hard. I think, you know, first up we need to secure and make sure that we have our squad of 15 contracted players and also the extended squad sorted out so that the players know where they stand and so that we can start monitoring them and start just, start the communication process and setting out the roles and responsibilities within all our units. Obviously, we need some time together, especially me and Zanele. I would love to hear all her ideas and obviously decide which ones are the ones that we need to execute first. It means so much to me that you guys back me all the way. I think you know my heart and you know how important South Africa is to me and you know how important netball is to me. But it's not about me. It's about the team and we really want this team to fly and we want to make sure that for South Africa we set a South African golden, truly South African golden standard and that we can work and strive and all the young girls out there can work and strive to become as good as our Proteas, as five Proteas.
A major congratulations, of course, to Coach Jenny van Dijk. We're wishing her all the best. I did say that I will be revealing to you my star maker, who is at the heart of my defense. He's finally here wearing the right brand, I have to say, because we do have the brand of wars now and again, but we'll indulge you at some point what that brand of wars is. If you get it, you get it. It is Kaitano Tembo. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm very well, and you?
Ah, fantastic. You're sitting next to my playmaker and my up the stairs guy.
The porter of South African football.
Let's just say
One player I haven't seen for quite some time. He's been missing in action.
The stairs have been
I've been in the stands.
Yeah, I've been in the stands.
kid manager.
Yeah.
Kid manager, that's
No,
your title.
first
Are you happy with
First
that?
try.
All right, getting into business. I mean, Coach Mahlatse was telling us about, how close you guys have been. A good 20 years of friendship, which I thought, my goodness, that is rare, to have friends who stay on that long. Talk to us quickly, about your friendship before we move on to the nitty-gritty of our football today.
I think when I came from Cape Town, I had just joined SuperSport from 7 Stars. And he was also in Pretoria. I think he was a student as well. And he was working with Pretoria News, working under the late Edgar Darcy. So he used to come to our matches all the time, even training sessions, and we end up staying in the same area, in Pretoria. So we'd see each other every day, and that's how our friendship, grew beyond, just football.
That explains why we've never seen Mahlatse writing a scathing report about any club Kaitano's worked for. We understand why now.
It makes sense and we forget it.
Nah, not necessarily. I think he's very professional, in terms of how he does his work.
Yeah.
And for me, I respect him for that. He does what he has to be, done, whether it's good or bad. He does his work professionally.
All right, we love that. Bromance now and again. We'll bring it to you, of course, coming live out of the
You
Arena
forgot to
Sports
mention
Show.
that I was very skinny at that time.
Money's good, Mahlatse Mphahlele, I can tell. On that note, Sizwe Mabena mentioned, of course, that Banyana are on the verge of qualifying for the Olympics that will be happening in Paris. Let's find out, of course, straight after Banyana camp.
It was a great game. It's always fantastic to watch the team playing. Really proud of them and seeing how they're coming along in this qualification. The next game is going to be really big for them. They've got to step up. We hope more players become available and that they can really put their all into the next round, because that's going to get them one step closer to qualification for the all-important Olympics.
Really proud of the team. Some very young players in the squad. So it augurs well for that and for them gaining experience.
So proud of Jermaine. We've walked a long journey with her. I've seen her grow in the sport. I've seen her perform exceptionally well all through the highs and lows. She joins an elite club of, I think, 10 players who've actually earned over 100 caps. So a fantastic achievement for her. Just demonstrates the longevity of her career. I was surprised to learn how long she's actually been playing the sport, but just really proud of her, and I hope to see her achieve even more in future.
Since making a debut, in 2010, it's a very young 17-year-old just coming back from the World Cup, making a debut, and look where she is. Look, if you put in the work, you can stay in the team for a very long time, because Jermaine has really put in the work over the years. Come back, and you could see going abroad, coming back, showing the youngsters this is what we need to do. And I think that has rubbed off on the rest of the players, and with having someone like Jermaine's experience in there rubbing off, it's fantastic for the young players. If I was a young player getting into this team now, not just Jermaine, the Team Bs, Rafiwe Jadis, all of those that are playing abroad, Lindas that are playing abroad, I would be like listening to their every word. They're playing in the best leagues in the world. And look, and yet they come back and they give their all for the national team. So big ups to Jermaine, really.
I just want to first and foremost thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And yeah, it's a privilege, it's an honor to be a part of the national team for such a long time. I think Not a lot of people get to join the club, but I'm privileged and honored to be here. Thank you to my teammates, to the staff, to Safa and everyone that's been involved in my journey up until this point. It's been a long one, 14 years, but yeah, I am and I've achieved it, and I'm really, really grateful to everyone that has been a part of my journey.
We need our supporters. The supporters are so important because they draw attention to the team. Them showing the team support, them coming to the games, them being here and really just cheering them on is so important for them to realize that they have South Africa supporting them. And that's what it's about. We need this country behind our players because they're here to make us proud. And when they see South Africa behind them and they get to experience the fans so close to them and taking an interest in what they do, it can only help the team to go further.
Well, you speak about going to the Olympics, and you can't go to the Olympics if you don't get beyond this round. But as you say, we did a lot of the work away, and today we just wanted to put up a good performance for the crowd because they came out in their numbers to support us, which was really, really fantastic. I haven't played in Bombela for a very long time. It was great to see the fans coming out. Happy with the result, but still a bit of rustiness here and there. Created a few opportunities, maybe making better decisions in the final third, but we were never really, really threatened.
Great to see, of course, Banyana edging ever close to that ticket. Sizwe Mabena, I mean, what a champagne pass. I'm hoping you now know who Kolosi Biyane is because she gave Tembi Khatlana the pass, and I was like, that's the fox, gentlemen. Talk to us about it.
Firstly, great job away from home.
Yeah.
The 3-0 win made it, I think, more comfortable in the Mabena leg, where the first goal scored in that game pretty much settles it.
Yeah.
And since South Africa scored and made it 4-0 on aggregate, it pretty much knocks the fight out of Tanzania. And great for Southern African football as well. Zambia, another side that's, well, right up there with the very best of them in recent times. They got the beating of Ghana. Now listen to this. First leg, away from home, they win 1-0. At home, it went down to 3-3, so quite a game that was for Zambia to sneak through. No other surprises, really. Morocco beaten Tunisia, and you'd expect Morocco as the powerhouse that they've been in recent times to get through. And you and Mahlatse were worried about Cameroon and Nigeria and the prospect of who we're going to face next between those two. Tell you what, we've got a mouth-watering game. The very best in Zambia against Morocco. Great game there. Another great game is Nigeria against South Africa. Take your pick as to who will go through. Coach Dale's saying she wants to see them play a little bit better in the way of going forward and decision-making. They're going to need to be at their very best against what should be an inspired Nigerian side.
Well, we're wishing Banyana all the best to make sure that they qualify for the Olympics. On that note, CAF Champions League is finally, of course, upon us this weekend. Mamelodi Sundowns will be hosting TP Mazembe, and they finally have a venue, which I'm excited about. It is the Lucas Masterpieces Moripe Stadium that will be hosting this fixture after trying to get around as to where do they host this fixture. Kaitano Tembo, I'm going to start with you. I mean, this is a big fixture. Mamelodi Sundowns having a lot of confidence. I mean, you hear the players as well saying that they think they can go all the way to the final against a side like TP Mazembe, who has shown a bit of a struggle against Mamelodi Sundowns. What do you make of this encounter?
Well, I think Sundowns have been doing very well, and I think they are the form team at the moment, and I think it's them to lose based on their results, the stats as well. But at the same time, I think TP Mazembe have really done well, in this campaign, because they've been struggling, but now they look like the TP Mazembe of before. So it's going to be a very interesting game.
And then Mahlatse, I mean, you know the drama all too well. I was listening to Bongani Zunga as well after, failing to be part of the 2016 squad that won the Champions League there, where he had to move to Portugal. He thinks that this time around, he might actually have a chance to clinch it with Sundowns. Talk to us about Bongani Zunga. I mean, we saw in the midweek game how influential he was for Sundowns.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are tired of me tweeting about Bongani Zungu now.
Really?
He's a player who I've always felt that he's too good. That's why I was also surprised that he came back to the league. I'm surprised now that the coach is experimenting with him, either as a deep-lying six, who most of the times drops back to help out in the defense. If there's 3 at the back, he comes in and he helps so that they can release the guys out wide. It's an interesting thing that he does, comfortable on the ball. He's got a long, short-range pass. He just knows how to play football. Those are the players that you don't need to tell them anything before the game. I'm sure the coach can say that. He's just a marvel to watch. And also, they talk about the role that he plays behind the scenes. He's senior, he's more matured now. It's not the Bongani Zungu of old who used to break lockdown rules overseas. He's more matured now. Yeah. He's helping the young guys. And I think he will continue to play a key role in that side. Now that Rivaldo Gutierrez is not there, he plays that role very well of a sort of a defensive midfielder with Tewa Mokoena. So, yeah, I think he's been very good for them. And he will once again play a very crucial part for them when they play against Mazembe. And remember, Sundowns hardly lose matches at Moroka Stadium in the Champions League. I think they haven't lost there in a very, very long time. Coach Pitts used to say their goal is at Moroka.
Always. And we saw it actually quickly, Coach.
On what Mahlatse has said, I think Sundowns, what they've done very well is their scouting in terms of bringing the right players, in terms of how they want to play. And if you look at it, those players are easily coachable. That's the most important thing. And they understand the way they want to play. And if you look at Bongani Zungu, I think the past 2 games he's played as a centre-back. But that centre-back who goes into midfield as well, you know, to help when they have possession, to add numbers in that midfield, to overload into the midfield. So you need players who've got also, who are coachable, who are also a little bit smart to understand what is expected from them.
Mabena?
For me, I feel like if this is a close tie, what could be a deciding factor is the 12th man. And you remember in recent times when Pirates was playing against Mazembe, full house, if I remember right, cars burning outside the stadium, very intimidating place for Pirates to go to. And I expect it will be the same because it's Sundowns and this Sundowns that, instills fear on teams all across the continent, really. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how many fans turn out in favor of Sundowns at the Lucas Masterpieces Motsepe Stadium. If it's a 1-goal game, it's then very interesting what happens out in the DRC. But I think fans will play a big part in this, in deciding it, should it be a close tie.
All right, hopefully you will turn up, of course, and head over to Lucas Masterpieces Motsepe Stadium. And Coach, I love that you're here and, you know, touching on the flexibility of Mamelodi Sundowns. And I want to find out from you, because we hear this a lot, you know, when players say that it takes time for us to gel and understand a philosophy of a coach. And you're a coach. You go into a club, because you look into what Coach Rulani Mokoena has done. It's not only Bongani Zungu. You look at Mphahlele as well. He's changed to be a completely different player. You also look at, of course, then the other players, the backline. I think for me, those players have been quite influential. You also look at Divine Lunga. And when he was at Arrows, you could see the man is just running and crossing the ball. But now you're seeing a different Divine at Mamelodi Sundowns. The crucial, yes, you mentioned, of course, the scouting, but then also the coaching part and getting the right players and that synergy between the two.
Yeah, you know, it works both ways. I think you also need a coach who is capable of, you know, doing that, improving the players, as well as players also being able, you know, to get to the next level. Because at some point, I can mention a player like Aubrey Modiba. Yes. Aubrey Modiba was with him at SuperSport. I know he can play 3 positions. He can play as a left back, he can play in central midfield, he can play left wing, you can even play him behind the striker. He is very flexible. So you need also a coach who can be able to identify that and be able to use him, you know, whenever, you know, you feel like, you know, using him in a certain way. And at the same time as well, the players that they've also brought in, they bring in, you know, they spend money on good players who can play in a certain way that is identifiable to, you know, to the way Sundowns wants to play. And I think that's the main thing.
And in that case, then talk to us about the man management part of it, where, like you say, they've got so many talented players that would probably believe they should be starting because they're so good.
Yeah.
Now, when you don't start them for periods of time and still keep them motivated enough to be able to come in when they do play and not drop the standard, still keep winning matches and having this incredible run. How difficult is that when you're dealing with a big squad, a deep squad, but such a talented squad as well?
Yeah, but, you know, we spoke about man management. You know, I think at that level, man management, player management is very key. But if you look at it at the same time with Sundowns, just now, they brought in Lodge. So what does it say to the rest of the team? That we want to be at the top.
Yeah.
If you cannot stay at that level, then you're not going to be with us. So they've brought in Esquivel as well, from North America, another talented player. But do you think they need him? But they need him because they play a lot of games, but they still want to maintain the level. So, which is very important. Whereas you can, go to other teams. You play one player, maybe he's the right back, but you try to, work around that and say, okay, can I move him a little bit? And then you find a little bit of resistance, but I can't play there, So that's the difference at Sundowns. At Sundowns, if you get 10 minutes, you've got to use them. You've got to raise your hand. Another perfect example is Divine Lunga,
yes.
the one you just mentioned. He's been all over the place, but now he's back. He's playing regularly. So that shows that if you use your opportunities wisely, you're still going to stay in the team.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then you're going to have a problem.
Someone else is knocking. Mahlatse.
Yeah, I guess someone was making a joke that the Mbingo's Lodge must have had a culture shock there. Already in the few weeks he has been there, he's been all over the place, traveling. There's no time to sit at home. That is just the schedule that these guys are operating under. And if you are not serious there, you won't make it. Coach P used to say, the system was going to throw you out. The players that doesn't last at Sundowns. It's less about the quality or the talent, but the mental attitude. If you are not right mentally, if you don't work hard, the extra training, if you don't take advantage of the systems that they've put in place there, of the analysts and videos. In the past, we used to have players who, when they say, go watch your videos, they used to say, nah, I'm going home. Now you must do this. The players talk about doing corrections.
Yeah.
Kuluso Mudawi says, I watch this. The guy sent me my videos on my phone. When I get home after training, I'm not going to the mall. I put these things up on my TV and I do the corrections. And if you don't do that, you are definitely not going to make it that's not.
Yeah, they've also, created an environment that allows you as well, as a player, to improve.
Yes.
Because if you can be able to at other teams, there's no, match analysis, there's no play analysis. As a coach, you've got to try and find ways to do that on your own, but it might not be enough. So if you're at a club where you have those resources that, when you're sitting at home, they send you, okay, this is you. Can you work on this? Can we work on that? So it's not always about on the pitch, but also you've got to meet, everyone halfway as well in terms of, you also, putting an effort to improve yourself.
Coach,
not
you know what not a Chisanyama. Coach, what I want to stick on with what you've mentioned. I mean, we talk about the centre halves, right? And I think when you look into the game against Amazulu, Mamelodi Sundowns still, you could argue and say that they were actually using one centre back because Grant Kikana was the only one that was in the middle, and the rest, that being Ulunga on the left and then on the right was, who was on the right again?
Dunyelwa.
Yes, Zuko was on the right. Then they would push more forward. So now, do you say that the game is evolving? Because you look at the fact that, yes, Uzungu would drop back a little bit. But I remember Coach Lwani going at the beginning of the season alluding to the fact, have you guys figured out how we're playing it? Because he's always trying to change the system of Mamelodi Sundowns because they've got a back, literally a back on their net. Everybody's trying to chase them now.
Look, I think for me, in terms of the fullbacks who go forward, I think that way, since I was playing, I've known about that. I can mention the Sizwe Montaungs, the David Nyatis, all those players used to be like that. So it's not something new. But the main thing about Sundowns is they want to have the ball at all times. So they tire you with the ball. They use the ball a little bit more. They've got players who have the ability to keep the ball for longer periods. So that makes it difficult for the opponent. Obviously, you might say Amazulu came, they were a little bit negative, but they were forced to play like that because they didn't have the ball. So you were forced to drop back all the time. So when they lose the ball, they also try and want to win the ball as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage that they have. That's why they want the players who are very comfortable on the ball.
I wanted to ask you, with regards to the AFCON and the signing of new players when the window was last open, how advantageous was it for guys like Loch, who was just arriving at Sundowns, to have 5 weeks to work with Rulani before the season restarts after the AFCON? Because now that the season has restarted, Loch is seeing game time. almost immediately as soon as the season starts, which will be motivating for him. But how important was that 5 weeks and just giving them the time to try and settle and understand Rulani's methods?
Yeah, it was very important because I think it was, like he's been signed, he started the season with them because you have about 6 weeks to prepare.
It was like a pre-season.
Pre-season, which is very important because when you don't have a proper pre-season, that's where you have you are always, playing a catch-up game because it's very difficult for you to fit into the team. So when you do pre-season, that's where all the principles are set up, the way the team plays, and we have more time now, to play friendly games for you to be able to do that. So you cannot do that when you're already playing competitive, games. It becomes a little bit difficult.
Yeah, Mahlatse.
Another thing that I want to add from Sundowns, having watched them play for so long, and is a very, very serious advantage for them, is Ronwen Williams.
Yes.
Sometimes I, sort of watch matches again, and when you look at Sundowns, they appear as if they're playing with 12 men. Just for a simple reason only, because Ronwen is also sort of an infield player.
Yeah.
And what he does very well is that if he has the ball and the opposition striker is attacking, he eliminates the opposition striker, one player, from the opposition by playing a pass, and then they move, and then they start connecting passes quickly, and then the next thing you see, they're in the opposition's box. So he's very, very important to that system. Is doing this thing of a modern goalkeeper very well. You will see doing that also at Bafana, because also he was comfortable that he's playing with the defense that is his club teammates. Yeah. And most clubs also don't know how to quickly close him down and put him under pressure. And he messes most of the players, the teams like that. He will take it to the right, will take it to the back, and then immediately, boom, quickly through the midfield. And then they turn and they go. And then they attack when they can punish you in that sense. That's what I'm saying. I do feel that they all sort of overpower teams like that, adding up to the issue of what the coach is saying, that they sort of do the way as the Barcelona of Pep Guardiola used to do. Yeah. Keep the ball, you chase them, you get tired, and they punish you. I was saying to someone at the Amazulu match at halftime, that guy said to me, no, they'll score goals in the second half, because Amazulu won't be able to keep this thing up. And that's what happened.
No, they definitely did. Coach, staying with Ronwen Williams, I'm sure he's passed through your hands. You've seen the growth of Ronwen. Talk to us about what you've seen while he was young and where he is currently.
Look, to be honest, I think, Sundowns, they've also, improved this game because of the level also where they are playing. If you play Champions League all the time, playing against also stronger opponents. As a player, you improve. And Ronwen has always been comfortable on the ball. We're building up from the back. That's his quality. Kicking, passing, that's his, his quality. He's very good at that. And also, he's a very smart goalkeeper. He's a complete, goalkeeper. It's just unfortunate that he never really got an opportunity to play in Europe. But I think he has all the qualities to play in Europe.
Manchester United, I think they need a
coach really?
At this point.
Leave Onana alone, okay?
Ronwen is so much better.
Don't take him to struggling teams.
On that note, we do know that there has been a lot of drama that has been fielding between Coach Siya Dramovic and Rulani Mokwena, not wanting to comment, but eventually commenting. Mahlatse Mphahlele's name also mentioned, saying, hey, drop something. Let's find out what Rulani Mokwena had to say.
Yeah, I have to respect, especially I have to respect South Africans and people who work very hard like Tim to run a football club and to do the things that he's done. Sid, you must give him all he's crying for. I don't know why you guys can't hear the underlying message. It's underlying, it's like this. All he's crying for is, guys, he's won 5 games in a row. Give him attention. Give him praise. He wants attention. Give it to him. The guy is pleading. He's saying, I've won 5 games in a row. No one is talking. Mahlatse, put him on the headlines there. Why don't you do it, guys? No, he's won 5 games. He's told you. He's got 8 assists from his left back. He's told you, guys, give him. Give him what he wants. Because if you don't give him what he wants, he goes and seeks for it. So, and then he comes for people like myself. Okay, no problem. But give him, guys. Give him the headlines. He wants attention. He wants his cry. You see what he's doing is he's crying out for attention. So give him a little bit. Spend more time with him. Put him, Link him to clubs. Put him. He wants that, guys. Give him everything. Give him.
Shake his hand next week when you see him.
Yeah, if he wants to shake my hand, I shake his hand. No problems. No, absolutely no problems.
Oh, Mahlatse Mphahlele, I'm told you need to write headlines. I thought you were already writing headlines, but clearly not the right ones.
He's an agent, this one. He's an agent.
An
I'm
agent
telling you.
for who?
Yeah, leave that to your imagination, you know. But he's getting special mentions in press conferences. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I was sitting there saying, Coach Ulan is dragging me into this thing now. But it shows that Coach Ulan doesn't read TimesLIVE. I think he must have read TimesLIVE.
You've mentioned it now a few times. But Coach, I mean, we were talking with Mahlatse Mphahlele during the week, and he's like, drama is and fights, it's normal. You've also had your fair share of, maybe not to this extent, but what leads to, players, be it coaches, getting a bit of a squabble on?
Yeah, look, I think during the 90 minutes, a lot of things do happen. Emotions are very high. And I think after the game, it's all, done and dusted. I think that's the most important thing. We fight, we all want to win. That's how it is. But after that, I think we should be able to shake hands and then we forget about it. 7
Stars, you and Benny McCarthy. What happened there? Because Mahlatse was telling us about that. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't picture you fighting. I really don't.
No, it was, it was just an exchange of, words, but nothing really serious. I think we even spoke about it and it was all, forgotten.
What caused it though?
I spoke about emotions during the game. I think Amazulu SuperSport United. The game was a little bit tough. It was very aggressive, and I think that's where it all, came from. But other than that, there was nothing really serious.
Okay.
Does it happen a lot between coaches that in post-match now, interviews or pre-match interviews, that one coach will say something that will irk another coach to a point where there is a clash between coaches, purely based on what one coach said?
No, look, sometimes it does, but also at the same time is it's also important. For us, we are still colleagues. We are coaches, and there are certain things that might be said, but I think it's also important to just find each other after that and talk about it and forget about it.
How do you watch the game? Because, I mean, from a coaching perspective, right, I think it's different, Coach. We sit at home and we think, oh, we love the drama, we're getting our popcorn. It's exciting for us. But what about you? At that moment, yes, I get it, it's the emotions. But afterwards, when you reflect back and you look at it, do you laugh about it and think, oh, my goodness, I can't believe we did that?
Yeah, even with with matches as well, not just about coaches. Even there are certain things that you cannot see everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see things differently, during the game because a lot of things are happening there. And then when you go home and you sit down, you start analyzing the game because that's what you should be doing. Go and watch it again. That's why you don't have to talk too much, especially after the game, because you might say things that are not correct, because you need to go home from a very relaxed environment. Then you watch the game, and then the following day you can be able to go and say, okay, with a sober mind now, okay, now you can be able to say the right things.
Now, then, what's the difference then between a post-match, let's say a press conference, where you've got some time? You go to the change room, there's time to think about the game, you talk to your players, then you go to the press conference where you're sober-minded. So how much pressure then is it with an interview right at the end of the match when Pumlani Msibi will stick a microphone in your mouth and say, Coach, your thoughts, in the middle, your thoughts, please, in the middle of all those emotions?
No, that's why,
what's the difference?
That's why you just have to stick to the game, and talk things that you saw. And you cannot really say a lot of things, after that, because
must be tough.
You have to just see the main things that you saw, and then that's important, because I don't think you can be able to dissect the whole game, soon after the game.
All right. On that note, let's move over then to the DStv Premiership. Kaizer Chiefs, they will be, of course, hosting Swallows. It is the original Soweto derby, and I'm absolutely looking forward to this one, Mahlatse and Mphahlele, because they come after a knockout from the Netball Cup, and the Kaizer Chiefs fans are not happy. Coach Kevin Johnson also has gone on to apologize to the fans and say, listen, I didn't want it to go that way. Sincere apologies, but way forward and where Kaizer Chiefs is currently.
Yeah, the Chiefs issue is a bit tricky, man. I was with Kevin Hunt this morning at the press conference. He apologized again. Apologized again. This time he included the chairman now, apologizing to the chairman, to the fans. And these are symptoms of a man under pressure. Obviously, I mean, as you know, Coach Kevin Johnson, he's always, has a smile and stuff like that. And but you can see deep inside that this is worrying. I mean, I asked him after the match on Saturday as to he pretty much has a very good reputation in our football. Good coach, good guy. As to this short stint, wouldn't it damage his reputation in our football because he's overseeing. He's pretty much trying to fix a car that has been involved in an accident,
I don't think he did himself any favors, though, either. Ahead of the game,
it's not easy.
When he promised to please the 16 million fans, I thought to myself, ooh, that's a sticky situation, considering the start of the year they've had. They're not really great in front of goal, so they're looking to build their confidence, and lo and behold, then they're going to lose. So I understand apologizing then and apologizing again this morning after you make such a big promise to a big support base like Kaizer Chiefs. It's a load of pressure that goes on to you.
Coach, I mean, what I want to look into, you mentioned scouting, right, with Mamelodi Sundowns. When you look into Kaizer Chiefs and you then ask yourself the Kaizer Chiefs way, the Kaizer Chiefs kind of players, what have you made of Kaizer Chiefs so far? Because we've seen they've been struggling to get the silverware. What would you say the issue is? Because some could say, yes, it's the management pulling a different way, the coaching that continuously keep on changing, where they don't give a coach enough time. What have you assessed of Kaizer Chiefs?
Well, I think to be fair on them, for me, I just feel that they've been unlucky in certain moments. It might be about results because sometimes they've been dominant, for a very long time. Sometimes it takes time, for the glory days to come back again. Probably a lot of patience is needed, for them to go back to where they were, before, because that's the most important thing. You look at Manchester United. I think they've been dominant for the past 20 years, but now the last 10, is it 10 or? They've been struggling to, to get back to what they used to be. So that's how it's like that, with all the big teams. Liverpool went for 30 years without winning a championship. Now they are back again. So they go through that phase. It should be seen as rebuilding or rebranding, whatever. But I think Chiefs are going through that moment at the moment.
Mahlatse, you're sitting next to a man who is piped to potentially be the man to go and help Kaizer Chiefs. Talk to us.
Means we're gonna get stories there.
Gonna get the scoops all the time.
Please let us in when you get it. But what I found out from you, I mean, you look into the coaching that has changed so much at Kaizer Chiefs. I remember Nazruddin Nabi was a coach that was piped to come down to Kaizer Chiefs, but then he was told that no, we can't get rid of Dylan Shepherd and Arthur Zwane because they're contracted, and he wanted his own technical team to come and assist him there. The thinking behind that and not giving them, the coaching, the supporting that they need, and of course then now how the club operates, because I, Chloe Grace, would also want somebody to assist me, someone that I know. So now when you have someone who was once a head coach, then demoted, it's kind of conflicting.
Yeah, I guess, where do I start?
How defeated you are.
Obviously, Chiefs, the starting point is they need to find a coach. And they need to find a big coach. And then from there, over a long period of time...
What's a big coach, by the way?
Somebody with experience, man.
Okay.
With the presence.
someone who presents, someone who understands South African football. And then from there, then you go through a painstaking process of finding the right players. I've said it here before that I just don't think that the majority of the players they have there can help the team. Those guys they've got no chance anyway of winning the league for Kaizer Chiefs.
It's amazing how times have turned, isn't it? When you think of Chiefs long ago, just in defense, Tovi, Howard Freeze, Lucas Khatebe, legends, all of them. They come with a fear factor as well. When you look at the goalkeepers, Mphahlele, Rowan Fernandez, Jermaine, all of them internationals, all of them legends as well. Dr. Kumalo, Mwoki, they were for a very long time what Sundowns is now. When you look at the team, you're just thinking, wow, fear factor. So many stars that you want to watch and so on. Chiefs used to have that throughout my childhood and for years into my adulthood. And I think that's another thing that maybe is quite missing, those players that just have a star quality to firstly fill a stadium wherever they used to go. And also the fear factor to, Gavin Hunt used to say this a lot, but sometimes when you play against Chiefs, you might play better than them, you just lose to the badge. That is Kaizer Chiefs. And that fear factor also helps, where just the badge alone will smash you. I think Chiefs is missing a lot of that from the olden era that you speak of to what they have now.
I mean, I recently had a discussion with Paul Ndlanya and
on prime time with Mahlatse. Thank you for
saying that. He says to me that during that time, the players that he played with, Sekhukhune, Tabo Moki, Dr. Kumalo, Shushmushweu, Skaram Gobes, Taban Levesi, I mean, I know they always say can't compare, but in terms of quality, who is Paul Ndlanya Chiefs now? No one. Who is Dr. Kumalo Chiefs now? No one. Who is Skaram Gobes Chiefs now? No one. And it may sound horrible to the players that are there now, but it's the reality.
It's something to aspire towards for them.
Yeah, I mean, these guys don't have to change Sundowns. How do you change Sundowns with this kind of situation? Even Pirates. Pirates sometimes get away with it because they win a cup here and there. But Pirates also are not coming to the party. Pirates are very far from Sundowns. If you check on the log, I mean, Chiefs, they played one more game than Sundowns, but Sundowns are 17 points ahead of them on the log. It's a lot. And how are you going to be able to catch up? I mean, Sundowns are preparing a match against TP Mazembe in the Champions League, a big match on the continent. They are playing against Swallows who didn't want to fixtures last season. It's the levels that you are talking about here, and you have to. It's the truth. It sounds horrible, but it's the truth. They just don't measure up against Sundowns, and something must happen. Something must happen, really.
As you're speaking, Mahlatse, and I'm going to bring you in, Coach, here, I remember having a conversation with Dikgang Mabalane, and he was alluding to the fact that when Ruud Krol joined Orlando Pirates, the biggest thing that he shifted was conversations with the players. He was just saying, okay, I'm going to do my one-on-ones and just get to understand you as a person and as a player. How important is that for a coach to understand their players? Because you mentioned Aubrey Modiba and getting how versatile he is, but then when now you have to talk to the players and also watch their game, what are you looking for as well? Because now we look at Kaizer Chiefs, we were talking about this last week, as to these players look like they don't want the ball, Coach. It's like they're also afraid of the ball. It's like, let's just get this ball out of here and then let's see what happens. How do you fix that?
Look, I think the issue, if you talk about Chiefs at the moment, I think when you're not winning, everything just seems like it's not working or you're doing the wrong things just because you're not winning. But I think it's also important, for people to be just brave and believe in what they want to do. And because the results might not come now, but they might come long term. We talk about Sundowns, also went through the same, situation up until now. Now they are invincible. But probably maybe in another 5-6 years, it might happen again. They might go through that phase again. So that's how football is. At the moment when, you look at Chiefs, Pirates, when the results are not, coming, but you must remember that before, those teams used to play, Champions League regularly.
Yeah.
So it's important that people just have to be a little bit more patient with them and let them to what they believe, works for the team, and the results will start coming.
But how honest are players? Because you were once a player, right? And then you became a coach. How honest are players when they're having a conversation with their coach to say, maybe coach is trying to play in a different position and admitting to say, hey, I am struggling. Now, just generally. It's
very difficult. Players want to play. You know, I've never come across any player who says, I don't want to play. You can say to him, I want you to play in this position. He will say, I will play. If things don't go well, it's okay, it's fine. But I think players are always honest in terms of, being there when they are needed. Sometimes if things don't work out, it also becomes a problem. But I believe that with Chiefs, a lot of patience is needed. And when the result starts coming in, then everything changes.
Would you say the same thing about Swallows? A lot of patience as well is needed because they've been also struggling, but their issues also go to management.
Look, it's very difficult to, talk about, what their issues because we don't really know what is going on there at Swallows. So in football, there are problems. That's the most important thing. Yeah. But it's important to just solve them. Sometimes problems are also solved within each and every club. Any workplace, there are issues. But you got to have the ability to what? To solve those issues within. Some things are not supposed to go out. Some things are supposed to stay within your home.
Mahlatse, what kind of encounter do you anticipate between the two teams?
Yeah, I don't think. I don't think a lot of people really. It's not a game. It's not a hugely anticipated football match. People will go watch and then go home and
Your tone is so sad.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit disappointed with what's happening in the club, man. It was a big club, and as we have mentioned, let's look at Europe. Liverpool struggled for the longest time, but they were competitive, even though they were struggling. Chiefs are not competitive. They just lie down and get rolled over. Look at what they did with this small team, Milford from the NFD. It's an embarrassing situation. But I guess they'll have to dust themselves off, go back again on Saturday and see if they cannot get back to winning ways, because that's what they need to do. Very soon they're playing Pirates. You're not going to go there having lost 1 or 2 matches in a row and the confidence is low, the players are doubting themselves and stuff like that. So they must dust themselves, go out there and see if they cannot beat Swallows. Swallows are a mess at the moment also, with what's happening behind the scenes. I guess we'll talk about it with the coach, not particularly about Swallows, but what happens behind the scenes. There are another club that is just an embarrassment really, to be honest with you. Let's see what happens on Saturday.
Mabena, quickly, hold up. Before you say it, I want to talk about the myth. You know how they always say going into a Soweto derby, you don't have to be on form. Come derby day, you might actually win it. You might lose 2-3 games, but anything is possible because it's the derby.
Let me add to your point.
Yes.
Especially because this was a big weekend in very many ways. Both these clubs went into the last weekend looking for the first win of the season in difficult times. Swallows with the player changes, the coaching change, just the drama that has befallen them over the last 5 months, 4 months or so on. That was drama, serious drama. That win is an important one. Yes, on penalties, yes, it's not pretty, but it's an important one. Ahead of the Soweto derby, one could argue. And now they've done something Chiefs haven't done this year. Pick up a win. Yes, on penalties, but Chiefs also lost on penalties. If you wanted to get their confidence up, I think that was the great result, great timing ahead of a shoot. That's what makes it interesting for me, this game, looking forward to it. Yes, 2 struggling clubs, 2 historically great clubs, that needs an up. They need something positive quickly. And for me, I'm wondering now, can Swallows make it 2 wins in a row, but most importantly, add to Chiefs' woes? That's the big question.
Ooh, I know, we're definitely looking forward to that one. All right, so you mentioned, of course, the woes that have been happening in Swallows. There have been, of course, a lot of questions as to then how does football actually operate? How do football clubs operate? Because now we've been hearing that team meetings happening at the gym, which is not great for the players. It doesn't make sense. We've got a coach to break it down for us, Coach Kaitano, as to now perhaps break down the role of a team manager and exactly what they're supposed to do for the club and the players.
And the importance of that role in working with the coach as well.
Yeah, look, I think not only the manager, the team manager, I think everyone within the club, plays an important role in terms of making sure that the team becomes successful. But, roles differ from club to club. And within those roles, you might be a team manager, there are also limitations in terms of what you can do or what you cannot do. Same applies with the coach. The coach also has limitations in terms of what you can do and what you cannot do. where it ends. There is always a line. That's very important. But the most important thing is to make sure that you are a collective in terms of your work ethic, the way you work together as a collective, to make sure that the club becomes successful.
Sure. I like your choice of words and limitations, because I think, Mahlatse, it's something that we see in our football, and some of the limitations are, budget caps, where there's sometimes not money allocated for certain things, and in that situation, you need to make it work.
Yeah, well, I guess with Swallows, it's just straight up and down. It's an issue it's a financial issue. It's not like at Sundowns. Sundowns, even the ladies team is run professionally. Even DDC players. I'm sure there are some DDC players at Sundowns who earn more than some of the players. That's just how proper the system works. But they have an advantage because the owner is a wealthy man. And they like to do things professionally. So yeah, I guess if the owners or the people running the club have got limitations financially, it will filter down to the players. And sometimes with my experience with players don't worry much about this other stuff. They just want an environment, a conducive environment where they can train, they can do fitness, they can be conditioned, they can be motivated, and they can go out and play football. If you take care of that stuff, that's what players care about. This other stuff, they don't really, book the flights early, book a nice accommodation, let them play. That's all they did. But if the chairman doesn't have money, what's going to happen? You will end up putting them at football a while there. There's a picture that's been circulating that in one of those double beds, they open another one to make 4 beds.
Goodness
how
gracious.
do you do that? In a professional club.
Yeah, no.
It's completely unacceptable. You can't do that. The allegations that players were eating in the gym and all those kind of things is just not professional. Players, if they see those things, they become demoralized and you can't motivate them, and the whole system just collapses and it becomes a serious problem. So you have to be professional.
I fully agree. Mabena.
I just wanted to find out from you, Coach, the team manager and the coach, how important is it that they have a seamless relationship? And as far as communication, do they communicate much? Do they sit down together much traditionally just in football?
No, not just in football. I think the team manager, in terms of managing the team, it lies with the team manager, because he works with the coach in terms of what the coach needs. If the coach can get that, if he cannot, then the coach has got to find ways, or both the team manager and the coach have got to find ways to work around that, because there are some things that don't need money. Not everything is about money. Some things don't need money. There are small things that can be sorted just through communication.
For sure.
So not everything is all about money.
And how detrimental is it if a coach and a team manager's relationship is not what it should be? They're not seeing eye to eye. How detrimental can it be to the whole running of a club?
Then it becomes a problem. If you don't see eye to eye, it becomes a problem. That's why I emphasize on working well together as a collective. Because that's very important. Sometimes you've got to, which word am I looking for?
We'll wait.
There's a word that I'm looking for. Because I think sometimes coach and manager, because we all make mistakes, and I think you should be able to see, okay, how can we work around this issue, so that it doesn't become a big issue. And sometimes there are certain things that players don't need even to know.
Yeah.
That's why any good club, people should be able to work together.
Mahlatse.
I remember some years back at Sundowns, Trot was the coach and Herocho was the team manager. They were always together, talking. And in that sense, if the relationship is good, then you can see with the players are more happier. Even if you have players within the team who are loud and they sometimes they're late for training, sometimes they do this, they do that. You are able to manage it because there is constant communication between the team manager and the coach and the players who sometimes don't get it right. It also easier in terms of what is happening on the pitch at training. The team manager is always there, even if he's not coaching, he's there to oversee. It's even easier if you have a team manager who played football, then he can sit there and check body language of the players, check how they do things. There's a lot that happens, like the coach is saying. You don't need money to sit there and look at the body language. You don't need money for a player to come to you and tell them about the problems that they have at home. That's why they came late for training. You don't need money to visit the player and find out what's happening in their personal life. So those are the things that are key. And it's not only the team manager. You have a whole lot of people. You've got doctors, you've got fitness trainers, you've got masseurs, you've got this, you've got that, you've got the office, the administration. You have to have a relationship with administration, because then if the office and the technical team also are not on the same wavelength, you will have chaos, because those are the people who are booking the flights, they're booking the accommodations, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're liaising with the owners of the club or the board or the chairman or whatever. So it must be a system that is seamlessly working, not too many mistakes. If there's one weak link in that system, you are going to end up with the swallow stuff.
I think some of the things we take for granted is if you say the same hotel as a soccer team when they're traveling. Let's say you're in Bloemfontein when SuperSport is there, as an example. Then sometimes you'll walk into a boardroom, find that it's been booked already to the soccer team. And there's already catering that's done inside, specifically for their diet, whatever's been requested. And all of this is work that goes in behind the scenes. It has to be arranged ahead of time to make sure that things are just running smoothly. The players just wake up, go in and eat and go back and rest and get ready to take off to the stadium.
The team manager must phone the airport to say, hey, the bus is going to park here at this time. We are not wasting time. The guys take their bags, we move. Escort, where is the escort? Those things must happen. You don't want to get into a team, into a hotel, the players are eating pap and beef stew.
Before the match.
Before the match. What kind of match is this? It doesn't happen. And these are the things that other people other than the coach must make sure that they happen. Otherwise you'll have chaos, man.
He will have chaos. And I like chemistry, coach. I think chemistry is something that we always talk about when we look into the field of players, in terms of the players gelling together. But now when you look into your technical team, how important is it as well? Not just the team manager, but your technical team to have that synergy and the constant communication. Because I do know as well, that's something that ignited your coaching. I do know that Coach Peter Msimane also helped in saying, Kaitano, watch videos for me, analyze the opponents that we play. So the importance of having a good technical team around you. Yeah,
it's always important, because as a coach, you cannot do everything. Sometimes there are certain things that you cannot see. And I spoke about the collective, because sometimes players also don't spend a lot of time with you, a coach, all the time. Sometimes they spend more time with the physio, they spend time more with the conditioning coach, because they've got to do individual, work on. So sometimes they also talk with the physio. They also talk with the, conditioning coach. So if you, as a coach, you can be able to manage that, then it's easier for you to now tap into whatever is going on, within your team, because you've got your finger on the pulse, but you've got also to be able to manage these guys, properly as well, because they need also to feel valuable within the system.
100%. Mahlatse, I love that you're a media officer at some point in your life. And I do know another role that team managers play is sometimes when players don't want to go sleep at home, that I've seen this happen, where the team program is changed so that the one that you send out to certain people is that it's saying, no, you come back the next day. The relationship now between the media officer, because you've seen as well where players, perhaps if they're drinking the whole night and then now they're arrested or whatever drama that comes with that. The team manager, the media officer, are they also part of that synergy?
Yeah, it's very important. I guess, maybe team manager, media manager, and security, apart from the coaches, and very, very important, because if you are a coach, you don't have a good media officer, you may have serious problems. I know sometimes at these clubs, information will always get out, and the people who takes out the information is normally the unhappy players who are not playing, they're killing everyone there. But if you have a good media officer, you are able to sort of keep things internally. Also, the good media officer cleans up after everybody. When there's a mess here and there, he cleans up to make sure that the brand looks good. He keeps things good. He protects the coach. He protects everybody. So a good media officer is important. And also a media officer must also have a good relationship with the team manager. Because to be able to protect staff, you need to know the truth as to what's happening.
Yes, yeah.
If you are clueless, then you can't be able to defend.
You can't control it.
And you can't control. So it's very important that the media manager, the team manager, the coach is very, very key. And also talking about security at the hotel, security becomes also very important. Because some players give the security bar and then they run. And then tomorrow they are tired. You know.
Yeah.
So, like I said earlier on, it's a complicated thing, which if the systems are right and are in place, you're able to manage it. Because you must remember, if you're dealing with players, adults, different personalities, some prima donnas, because they earn a lot of money, they don't really care, they don't respect the people who they work with. You must be smart as to how you deal with that stuff. And if you do that, you have a happy camp, and a happy camp can also translate into good performance on the pitch.
All right. I think we've, of course, spent enough time in breaking down how clubs work and how team managers operate, and, of course, that synergy that we need in terms of the technical team and, of course, the supporting staff for the coach. Coach Kaitano, we've got another encounter that we're looking forward to this weekend. It's Orlando Pirates against Polokwane City. And, I mean, we spent time talking about Kaizer Chiefs. When you look at Orlando Pirates, we've seen that the stars are there, that the quality players are there. And, of course, they shut the fans up a little bit in terms of winning a trophy here and there, and they don't complain too much. But now when you look into the league, we talk about the changes that are being made a lot, especially in that middle park when you look into Orlando Pirates. Game in, game out, it changes. Perhaps share with us what may lead to that, because I sit at home, coach, and I think, no, I should know what my core of the team is. You know, I have an idea of what the spine is, but now when I see those changes, it kind of raises question marks to me as well.
Look, I think it's all about training, because there are a lot of things that happen, you know, during preparation. So probably you're playing on a Saturday, but you've got 4 days or 5 days to prepare. There are injuries, there are suspensions, and sometimes it can be also tactical in terms of who you are facing. You need a certain, you know, different type of player. And those are the things that, you know, the coaches have got to think about before you can, you know, select the starting lineup. You know, probably, you know, obviously fans will always have their favorites.
Yeah.
But you have to understand as well what goes through preparation, you know, for a coach to make, you know, such decisions.
What's your thoughts on rotation? Because rotation is also something that's been a big talking point about rotating your squad.
Rotation is important when you're playing, you know, too many games in a short space of time, because you need to always have, you know, your team to be fresh. But at the same time as well, sometimes consistency is also important.
Yeah.
Because players need to play consistently for them to, you know, to really, give you, you know, the right performance. Sometimes also, I spoke about tactics. What is your approach, you know, to the next game against a certain, you know, opponent? All
right, Sizwe Mabena, what are your expectations in this encounter? I mean, Orlando Pirates come after a very high at the Nedbank Cup, and of course welcoming key players. Well,
it's interesting for me. It's always interesting what the underdog does in matches of this nature to make a match out of it. Polokwane City knocking on the top 8, I think that's inspirational enough for them to try and take the battle to Orlando Pirates. I've liked some of what I've seen at Polokwane City this season. What I especially was impressed with is their bounce back. They didn't win a match, I think, from middle of October to late December. And then I started to wonder, because they went on the most difficult patch of the season at that point. They've come back, they've won a couple of matches of late. Can they keep it going? Can they get into the top 8 and make it a successful second half of the season? It's always interesting in the second half with teams that have just come up, whether they can see out the same momentum they had in the early stages of the season. And that's the big question for Polokwane City. What do they do as the underdogs to make the game even more entertaining? When the underdog scores first, you in for a great game, whether the bigger team comes back and wins, or you have an upset. But when the underdog does well, the game is always a good one.
Mahlatse, you look into Orlando Pirates. I mean, yes, they play Polokwane City on Saturday, and then Wednesday they're playing Cape Town Spurs. Then they have the derby come Saturday against Kaizer Chiefs. Now, rotation or not for Coach Jose Rivero, and what do you then expect him to do come Saturday? Yeah,
I think as coach has said, rotation is tricky because, you know, you want, as a coach, you want consistency. And the players themselves want to keep on playing. You don't want to be in and out. And so it's a bit tricky. I think the coach will go with pretty much the strongest possible squad team or squad for the both matches leading up to Soweto Derby. What I hope the players doesn't get caught in this dangerous cycle of thinking too far ahead of the Soweto Derby. The temptations will be there because it's a big game. But, you know, it's a cliche, but I guess they just have to... I didn't want to say it, but yeah. you know, make sure that they don't get caught in that thing of the Soweto. And this Soweto Derby is also very awkward because in that week, they are both playing. Normally, the week is clear during the week. They are playing during the week. I think Chiefs are playing on Tuesday. And then Pirates are playing on Wednesday.
So that said, when it rains, it pours. For Chiefs, the pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Soweto Derby now with Swallows. They have to do something. Yeah. And not too long from that, there's another derby. So there's never a moment's peace.
Yeah, even from the player's perspective, how do you personally as a player manage it? Because it can be tricky. I just hope they both Chiefs and Pirates remain professional. Not think too far ahead of the Soweto Derby. Chiefs finish Tuesday, and then change focus. Pirates finish Wednesday, and then change focus. Because we want something nice on that Saturday.
It's impossible, Mahlatse.
It mustn't be. We don't want a lovely draw.
You guys are already planning a program for Monday, so it's going to be impossible not to think about it. Like the build-up starts literally on Monday to the Soweto Derby, but we're hoping, of course, to see, of course, exciting goals. Coach, what I want to find out from you, I mean, you touched on Ronwen Williams, right? And we always have that conversation as to who's the best at what position. And you've played as a defender, you've been a coach. When you look into our defense as a nation, perhaps a club, who has impressed you in terms of managing and doing that role so well?
You mean
defensively?
It's a no-brainer.
Look, at the moment it's Sundowns because they haven't really conceded a lot of goals. But also I like Pirates. You know, their defense is very solid. You know, if you look at Koki, you look at CBC, you look at Nda, those are very solid. You know, centre backs that when you face them, you really have to work hard, you know, against them. And but Sundowns, because you know they haven't really, you know, conceded a lot of goals. And if you look at, because probably most teams haven't really made them to defend a lot because they always have the ball.
Yeah.
So it's but based on the stats, I think they've been, you know, the best, you know, defense at the moment.
If you had to pick one player, who would be your top defender? If, let's say, the season ends tomorrow, who's your defender of the season?
Well, at the moment, I think if I look at Grant Kekana, I think he's really done well. And also credit should go to, you know, the Sundowns technical team. I think they've also improved him. He's one player who can play at right back and play as a centre back. And looking back at the AFCON, I think when he came on, him and Mphahlele were really solid, you know, defensively. And you know, when you have a solid defense, it's much easier to win games. You always have an opportunity to win games because it also, you know, gives confidence to the attacking players that, you know, even if we miss chances or even if I lose possession, there are guys who are, you know, protecting me there. So so I would give it to, you know, to Grant at the moment.
All right, I think that's not a bad choice, right, Mahlatse? You're nodding, or you're saying no to that?
No, I agree. I've had to apologize to him.
That's what I'm asking.
Because I must be honest, I didn't think he can have a successful career at Sundowns. I doubted him, but he has well and truly proved me wrong. And it goes back to the issue of what the coach was saying, that Sundowns scouts really spend time looking at players. Look at some of the players that Sundowns have signed that a lot of people who have made much of. Isibangu, you know, he has been playing here in the PSL for a long time, but nobody made much of him. Goes to Sundowns, good coaching, good environment. He has improved. Look at Maema. I know he's not playing now,
Yes.
But a few seasons ago, a lot of people don't have made much of Nomaima. Maboye, you know, so they look. I mean, look at this kid Vuyo Mdunyala. I'm having a closer look at him now, and also he's got the right physique. He's a big boy, which is what European clubs are looking for. European clubs are looking for good ball playing, big boys, and if he's coachable, if he's not get distracted by other stuff, I think he can have a good career at Sundowns. He's at the right environment. He's pretty much the right age. I know we're young, you know, but he's pretty much at the right age where he can still consume information, learn, and become better. It's nice. He's training with other very, very good other players. So the scouting team there does a very, very good job. And for Grant, yeah, I fully agree. I think he's one of the best players. He will probably go and be the defender of the season. If not him, maybe Koki at Pirates or even his teammate Motobimval. I
think with a lot of the Sundowns players, you have to mention SuperSport United. And as far as a great football upbringing, Ronwin, there were so many others over the years, the Lafors and so on. They've added to Sundowns. I'm not saying they didn't play well at SuperSport. They played very well at SuperSport. Some of them when they were teenagers, and they've gone on to have great careers going into their 20s and late 20s. But I think SuperSport has been a great feeding ground for youngsters to get that experience. The coaching has been great for those that have been there in the past, of course, and worked with many of these youngsters. And for the last 15 years, I think we don't mention enough how good SuperSport has been in providing us with talent that really is it's gone on to be as good as any team on the continent with what Sundowns is doing now with so many former SuperSport United players. So a lot of props must go to SuperSport. Whatever's happening in Pretoria, the air is great for football in Pretoria, is basically what I'm saying.
So what are you saying about Shante Campbell?
Don't start
There's a joke that they send the WhatsApp with the figures.
Already?
It's done.
And then you see the guy doesn't go to training, you know, it's finished.
No, but you can't take there's no flights from Pretoria to Kyoto.
I'm sure
there's no flights
I don't know, you missed the quickest car to get there.
Then you start hearing the guy's got an injury here, there, doesn't train. You know, it's done.
I hope not. Kevin Hunt made it clear he needs to go to Europe. But Coach, I mean, sticking on that note, I wanted to find out as you, because, I mean, you've been so close in terms of development. We look into as well Stellenbosch, who are doing the right things. They're cooking it up and making sure that their players are being cooked up right. The importance of having, of course, you know, that development system, instead of, you know, trying to sell the players, but having, you know, a right system working. Because a lot of times you see a lot of academies where we're like, okay, academies, but what are they doing? Are they teaching the players the right thing? Because you get to a player who's 15 years old and they don't know the basics. But then now when you get projects like SuperSport, like Stellenbosch, should treat them and teach them at a young age. Talk to us about that system, because you've worked so closely in a system like that.
Yeah, I think development is very key. And I think I've spent about 10 years working at the academy. SuperSport had, you know, like, you know, soccer schools. Soccer schools is for youngsters, you know, kids. So they focus more on technique, you know, ball handling, because you got to know how to handle that thing.
Yes.
So that's what, you know, they focus on, you know, juggling, you know. But as they, you know, get a little bit older, now you've got to move them from, you know, from that, and then you focus more on the basics in terms of, you know, passing, long, short, controlling the ball. And then you move them, you know, also to tactics. So now when you start playing like, you know, 11v11, you focus more on what? On tactics. When they're still young, it's more small-sided games. So small-sided games, if you teach them technique, it's easier for them because they touch the ball for longer, you know, a lot of times. Because you play a 4v4 or 5v5 or a 6v6, it's a small area. So you're working on all the functions of football in terms of, you know, defending, and you do that a lot. Even in 5 minutes, you touch the ball about 20 times. So that's the whole idea. And then you move them, you know, in terms of, you know, teaching them the, you know, principles, tactics, and you move them to a stage where you have to show them all the formations in terms of how you play. So it's easier for a player when you go and play maybe a 4-3-3 or 3-5-2, whatever formation. It's easier when you just tell him that this is your role, this is your responsibility, I need you to do this. They know that they will already understand the principles of certain positions. So I think that has been very key at SuperSport, you know, and, you know, individual training in terms of the requirements of your position. So it becomes more position specific. Both positions are not the same. If you look at here in South Africa, there are a lot of midfielders because everyone wants, you know, it's easier, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you cannot play like that when you are a winger or you are a fullback or you are a striker. You know, you've got different, you know, responsibilities in terms of your position.
Mahlatse, to add on that?
Yeah, I think just to add to the coach, one of the areas which I think we don't pay too much attention to in South African football, and especially at grassroots level, is coaching. I don't think we've got enough junior coaches. I went to watch some kids play Tembisa, the place called Pumulong. It's amazing. Just the kit. The trousers are up to here. The shirts are up to here. That's a no-no. That's number one. It's wrong because they can't run properly because of the kit. I understand it's issues of money and stuff like that.
But you can tie it up and
find a way.
Yes,
it shouldn't be happening. They are young. And also, how do you have 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds playing in a full ground? That also is not good because they don't have an engine to be running around and doing that stuff. So obviously that is wrong. You also see that there's no coaching because you always find them converting at where the ball is. There's no positional sense. And those things you teach them when the kids are still very young.
For sure.
They can't all be running where the ball is. Otherwise, then, you know, what are you watching? You know, so it's those kinds of things. We really need to put a little bit of time and a little bit of resources in terms of educating junior coaches. And that's very important. That's why you're going to have a guy at FNB Stadium with 90,000 people missing an open net. It's because of those things that happens there on the grassroots.
Your shade is
I
unnecessary.
think the difference as well is in the sporting codes. When you look at rugby and rugby schools now, when they have a coach, they have a coaching program, which is very professional.
And former players.
And former Boks guys that have studied, played the game and so on. Whereas from a footballing point of view, even when I was a kid, a lot of the coaches were volunteers, parents that were volunteers.
Sizwe, Mabena.
No, what do you mean? I was solid as a coach.
You can go.
There were either parents that were volunteering their time or teachers that never really played football. I remember we used to have Mr. Swichers at school, very Afrikaans man, all about rugby, never played a game of football in his life, but he had the time, so he was our coach at the time. So that's where the differences are with football and, let's say, rugby, which is run so superbly all the way down to school rugby, you know what I mean?
I think for now, I think things are changing a little bit because I think there are now a lot of qualified coaches who are now being employed by schools. And I see a lot of, change in terms of, players now coming, from schools, with now better qualities, more understanding in terms of how the game should be played, or understanding the basics, like we said, because I think a lot of coaches now, schools, I think they are also now realizing that they need to try and employ, people who are also qualified, for them to be able to be coaches.
And quite importantly, there's many young coaches that are looking to take up their SAFA licenses and so on, so they have to give that time as well and go through those processes. So it's nice to see that there's actually quite a lot that are going through those processes in the hope of getting involved in the game.
100%. And I like that, Coach, you're part of the highly qualified coaches. It will be an absolute sin if I don't ask you this. What's next for Coach Kaitano Tembo? Because we need to get you somewhere.
Well, for now, I'm just, focusing a little bit more on watching a lot of matches, and also, focusing on my courses as well. So I think I'll need to really, put more effort in that. And, there are certain things that are on the pipeline, but we'll see when the time is right.
You'll break the news, Mahlatse, when the time is right?
We know where the story is coming from. We know where the story is coming from.
It's sorted.
It's sorted, no? Coach.
But sometimes it troubles me,
Are you enjoying the de-stressing period that you're in right now, as opposed to coaching? Because I can imagine it's quite stressful.
Yeah, coaching, sometimes in coaching,
let your hair grow, it's
you can also lose yourself. Sometimes it's also good to see things, differently, or also reflect as well, because that's very important. I need to look at myself as well, because sometimes when you're in there, you are always finding mistakes, and you don't look at yourself as well. You don't have time to look at yourself and say, okay, maybe probably I can change one or two things.
For sure.
So this is the time that also I want to use, to do that.
Mental health for coaches?
Yeah,
Is it an issue for coaches, mental health?
I think it is. It is, because you don't really have time to celebrate.
Yeah.
Because you can win today, and tomorrow things change. From it can be from 100 to 0, and it can be from 0 to 100.
True.
So hey, you maybe I do a lot of training. That's how I distress. I try and go to the gym. And
that's why you look younger than Sizwe Mabena.
I thought you were saying about that. I'm just taking the history. Last week was your favorite commentator.
He's still my favorite. Wow. But Coach Kaitano, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And I guess we'll do it again when you're ready to break the news to us, right?
Thank you very much.
I said to you, sometimes he dribbles me. Then he pulls and says, hey, the champion said about this side. My hands were tied. I said, coach.
Let's hope the chairman will be kind this time around. But gents, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We do it again next week. That's it, of course, from us on the Arena Sports Show. From myself, Claire Grace and Panza, and the team. It's cheers, goodbye.